Translated from the original Pali, with introductory essay and explanatory notes by Piyadassi Thera. With a foreword by V.F. Gunaratna, copyright 1999. Part C of 5. 15 Discourse to Girimananda Thera. Girimananda Sutta, thus have I heard. On one occasion the Blessed One was living near Savatthi at Jetavana at the monastery of Anathapindika. Now at that time, the Venerable Girimananda was afflicted with a disease, was suffering therefrom, and was gravely ill. Thereupon the Venerable Ananda approached the Buddha and having saluted him sat beside him. So seated the Venerable Ananda said this to the Blessed One. Bhante, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Girimananda is afflicted with disease, is suffering therefrom, and is gravely ill. It were well, Bhante, if the Blessed One would visit the Venerable Girimananda out of compassion for him. Thereupon the Buddha said, should you, Ananda, visit the monk Girimananda and recite to him the 10 contemplations, then that monk Girimananda, having heard them, will be immediately cured of his disease. What are the 10? Contemplation of impermanence. Contemplation of anatta, absence of a permanent self or soul. Contemplation of foulness, ajubha. Contemplation of disadvantage, danger. Contemplation of abandonment. Contemplation of detachment. Contemplation of cessation. Contemplation of distaste for the whole world. Contemplation of impermanence of all component things. Mindfulness of in-breathing and out-breathing. And what, Ananda, is contemplation of impermanence? Herein, Ananda, a monk having gone to the forest or to the foot of a tree or to an empty house, lonely place, contemplates thus: matter, visible objects, is impermanent, feeling or sensation is impermanent, perception is impermanent, formations are impermanent, consciousness is impermanent. Thus he dwells contemplating impermanence in these 5 aggregates. This, Ananda, is called contemplation of impermanence. 2. And what, Ananda, is contemplation of anatta? Herein, Ananda, a monk having gone to the forest or to the foot of a tree or to a lonely place contemplates thus: the eye is not the self, visible objects are not the self, the ear is not the self, sounds are not the self, the nose is not the self, smells are not the self, the tongue is not the self, tastes are not the self, the body is not the self, bodily contacts, tangible objects, are not the self, the mind is not the self, mental objects are not the self. Thus he dwells contemplating not self. In these internal and external bases. This, Ananda, is called contemplation of anatta. 3. And what, Ananda, is contemplation of foulness? Herein, Ananda, a monk contemplates this body upwards from the soles of the feet, downwards from the top of the hair, enclosed in skin, as being full of many impurities. In this body there are head hairs, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, pleura, spleen, lungs, intestines, intestinal tract, stomach, feces, bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, grease, saliva, nasal mucus, synovium, oil lubricating the joints, and urine. Thus he dwells contemplating foulness in this body. This, Ananda, is called contemplation of foulness. 4. What, Ananda, is contemplation of disadvantage, danger? Herein, Ananda, a monk having gone to the forest, or to the foot of a tree, or to a lonely place, contemplates thus: many are the sufferings, many are the disadvantages, dangers, of this body, since diverse diseases are engendered in this body, such as the following: eye disease, ear disease, nose disease, tongue disease, body disease, headache, mumps, mouth disease, toothache, cough, asthma, catarrh, heartburn, fever, stomach ailment, fainting, dysentery, swelling, gripes, leprosy, boils, scrofula, consumption, epilepsy, ringworm, itch, eruption, tetter, pustule, plethora, diabetes, piles, cancer, fistula, and diseases originating from bile, from phlegm, from wind, from conflict of the humors, from changes of weather, from adverse condition, faulty deportment, from devices, practiced by others, from kama vipaka, results of kama, and cold, heat, hunger, thirst, excrement, and urine. Thus he dwells contemplating disadvantage, danger, in this body. This Ananda is called contemplation of disadvantage, danger. And what, Ananda, is contemplation of abandonment. Herein, Ananda, a monk does not tolerate a thought of sensual desire that has arisen in him, dispels it, makes an end of it, and annihilates it. He does not tolerate a thought of ill will that has arisen in him, but abandons, dispels it, makes an end of it, and annihilates it. He does not tolerate a thought of cruelty that has arisen in him but abandons it, dispels it, makes an end of it, and annihilates it. He does not tolerate evil, unprofitable states that arise in him from time to time, but abandons them, dispels them, makes an end of them, and annihilates them. This, Ananda, is called contemplation of abandonment. 6. And what, Ananda, is contemplation of detachment. Herein, Ananda, a monk having gone to the forest, or to the foot of a tree, or to a lonely place, contemplates thus: this is peaceful, this is sublime, namely, the stilling of all conditioned things, the giving up of all substratum of becoming, the extinction of craving. Detachment, nibbana. This, Ananda, is called contemplation of detachment. 7. And what, Ananda, is contemplation of cessation. Herein, Ananda, a monk having gone to the forest, or to the foot of a tree, or to a lonely place, contemplates thus: this is peaceful, this is sublime, namely, the stilling of all component things, the extinction of craving, cessation, nibbana. This, Ananda, is called contemplation of cessation. 8. And what, Ananda, is contemplation of distaste for the whole world. Herein, Ananda, a monk, by abandoning any concern and clinging to this world, by abandoning mental prejudices, wrong beliefs, and latent tendencies concerning this world, by not grasping them, but by giving them up, becomes detached. This, Ananda, is called contemplation of distaste for the whole world. 9. And what, Ananda, is contemplation of impermanence of all component things. Herein, Ananda, a monk is wearied, humiliated, and disgusted with all conditioned things. This, Ananda, is called contemplation of impermanence of all component things. X. And what, Ananda, is mindfulness of in-breathing and out-breathing. Herein, Ananda, a monk having gone to the forest, or to the foot of a tree, or to a lonely place, sits down, having folded his legs crosswise, keeping the body erect, and his mindfulness alive, mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out. When he is breathing in a long breath, he knows, I am breathing in a long breath. When he is breathing out a long breath, he knows, I am breathing out a long breath. When he is breathing in a short breath, he knows, I am breathing in a short breath. When he is breathing out a short breath, he knows, I am breathing out a short breath. Conscious of the entire process, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Conscious of the entire process, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Calming the entire process, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Calming the entire process, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Experiencing rapture, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Experiencing rapture, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Experiencing bliss, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Experiencing bliss, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Experiencing the mental formations, feeling and perception, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Experiencing the mental formations, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Calming the mental formations, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Calming the mental formations, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Experiencing the mind, according to the fourfold absorptions, or yahanas, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Experiencing the mind, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Exceedingly gladdening the mind, by samatha, calming, as well as by vipassana, insight, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Exceedingly gladdening the mind, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Concentrating the mind, on the breath, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Concentrating the mind, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Liberating the mind, from the nivaranas, or hindrances, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Liberating the mind, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Contemplating impermanence, in body, feelings, perceptions, volitional formations, consciousness, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Contemplating impermanence, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Contemplating detachment, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Contemplating detachment, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Contemplating cessation, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Contemplating cessation, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. Contemplating abandonment, I shall breathe in, thus he trains himself. Contemplating abandonment, I shall breathe out, thus he trains himself. This, Ananda, is called mindfulness of in-breathing and out-breathing. If, Ananda, you visit the monk Girimananda and recite to him these 10 contemplations, then that monk, Girimananda, having heard them, will be immediately cured of his affliction. Thereupon the Venerable Ananda, having learned these 10 contemplations from the Blessed One, visited the Venerable Girimananda, and recited to him the 10 contemplations. When the Venerable Girimananda had heard them, his affliction was immediately cured. He recovered from that affliction, and thus disappeared the affliction of the Venerable Girimananda. Notes 1. AV 108. 2. Sabakaya. Literally, the whole, breath, body. According to the Visuddhimagga, kaya here does not mean the physical body, but the whole mass of in-breathing and out-breathing. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. 16. The Discourse at Isajili, Isajili Sutta. Thus have I heard. On one occasion the Blessed One was living on Isajili mountain near Rajagaha. Then he addressed the monks saying, O monks! Bhante! Venerable Sir, replied those monks in assent to the Blessed One. Thereupon he said this. Do you, monks, see this Vebaram mountain? Yes, Bhante. There was another name, monks, for this Vebaram mountain, another designation. Do you, monks, see this Pandava mountain? Yes, Bhante. There was another name, monks, for this Pandava mountain, another designation. Do you, monks, see this Vipula mountain? Yes, Bhante. There was another name, monks, for this Vipula mountain, another designation. Do you, monks, see this Gijhakuta mountain? Yes, Bhante. There was another name, monks, for this Gijhakuta mountain, another designation. Do you, monks, see this Isajili mountain? Yes, Bhante. This has been the very name, monks, the very designation for this Isajili mountain. In the past, monks, 500 Pakska Buddhas lived for a long time on this Isajili mountain. As they were entering the mountain they were visible, but once they have entered, they were invisible. People seeing this remarked, this mountain swallows these seers, Isajilati, hence the name Isajili came into being. I will tell you, monks, the names of the Pakska Buddhas. I will reveal, monks, the names of the Pakska Buddhas. Listen, pay close attention, I will speak. Yes, Bhante, replied the monks. The Blessed One said, Paritta, monks, was a Paksika Buddha who lived for a long time on this Isajali mountain, Uparitta. Tagarasiki, Yasasi, Sudasana, Piyadassi, Gandhara, Pindala, Upasabha, Nitha, Tatha, Sutava, Bhavatata, monks, was a Paksika Buddha who lived for a long time on this Isajali mountain. The names of those supreme beings who are free from sorrow and desire, who have overcome their passions, and have individually attained enlightenment, noble among men. I make known. Listen to me. To Paritta, Uparitta, Tagarasiki, Yasasi, Sudasana, Piyadassi the enlightened. Gandhara, Pindala, and Upasabha, Nitha, Tatha, Sutava, Bhavatata. 3 Sumha, Subha, Methila, Athama, and then Megha, Anaya, Siddhatha are Paksika Buddhas whose desire for becoming, reliving, is destroyed. Hing and Hinga of great power. For the 2 sages Jali and Athaka, then Kosala, the enlightened one, then Subahu. Upanamisa, Namisa, Santasiddha, Sakka, Tatha, Viraja, and Pandita. Vikala, Upakala, Vijita, and Jita, Anga and Panga and Gudajita. Pasi removed defilements, the root of suffering. Aparajita, conqueror of Mara's might. 6 Satha, Pavata, Sarabhanga, Lomahamsa, Akangamaya, Asita, Anasava. Manomaya and Bandhuma, the destroyers of pride, Tadadhamata, Vimala, and Kituma. 7 Kitumbarga and Matanga, Arya. Then Akuta and Akutagama Byamaka. Sumangala, Dabala, Supatite Theta, Aseha, Kimabhirata, and Sorita. 8 Durannaya, Sunga, and Ukya, and then the sage Seha of sublime energy. Ananda, Nanda, Upananda, the 12 Paksika Buddhas, Bharadvaha bearing his last body. 9 Bodhi, Mahanama, and then Uttara, Kesi, Siki, Sundara, and Bharadvaha. Tissa, Upatissa, Upasidari, the destroyer of the bonds of becoming, and Sidari, the destroyer of craving. Ex-Mangala was the lust-free Paksika Buddha, Usapa who cut away the ensnaring root of suffering. Upanada who attained state of calm, Nibbana, Aposatha, Sundara, and Saccyanama. 11 Jita, Jayanta, Paduma, and Upala, Padumatara, Rakita, and Pabita. Manitada, Sopada, Vataraga, and the Paksika Buddha Kenha well freed in mind. 12 These and others are Paksika Buddhas of great power whose desires for becoming, reliving, are destroyed. Do salute these great sages of immeasurable virtue, who have gone beyond all attachment and attained parinibbana. Notes 1. M116. 2. They are Buddhas, who have attained enlightenment independent of another's aid, but lack the faculty of convincing others. 3. 4 stories connected with these 13 names. See Dictionary of Pali Proper Names, G.P. Malalay Sekara. 4. Literally those essences of beings, Ma. 429. Having declared the names of these 13 Paksika Buddhas, the names of those others who are the essences of beings, are now revealed in verse 5. Literally removed the spike of passions, Visala. 6. It would appear that the reason why in the Pali stanzas attributes are mentioned in respect of some Paksika Buddhas, and not all, is for metrical purposes. 7. Kulajali and Mahajali. 8. 4 Anandas, 4 Nandas, and 4 Upanandas, Ma. 4. 129. 9. The 5 aggregates of body, feelings or sensations, perceptions, formations and consciousness. 10. Sangha, attachment or grasping, they are lust, hate, delusion, pride, and false views. *******. 17 Setting in motion the wheel of truth, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the first sermon of the Buddha. For 7 weeks immediately following the enlightenment, the Buddha spent his time in lonely retreat. At the close of this period he decided to proclaim the doctrine, Dhamma, he had realized. To those 5 ascetics who were once struggling with him for enlightenment, knowing that they were living at Isapatana, modern Sarnath, still steeped in the unmeaning rigors of extreme asceticism, the master left Gaya, where he attained enlightenment, for distant Varanasi, India's holy city. There at the deer park he rejoined them. Thus have I heard. On one occasion the Blessed One was living in the deer park at Isapatana, the resort of seers, near Varanasi, Benares. Then he addressed the group of 5 monks, Bhikkhus. Monks, these 2 extremes ought not to be practiced by one who has gone forth from the household life. What are the 2? There is addiction to indulgence of sense pleasures, which is low, coarse, the way of ordinary people, unworthy, and unprofitable, and there is addiction to self-mortification, which is painful, unworthy, and unprofitable. Avoiding both these extremes, the Tathagata, the Perfect One, has realized the middle path. It gives vision, gives knowledge, and leads to calm, to insight, to enlightenment and to nibbana. And what is that middle path realized by the Tathagata? It is the Noble Eightfold Path, and nothing else, namely, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness and right concentration. This is the middle path realized by the Tathagata, which gives vision, which gives knowledge, and leads to calm, to insight, to enlightenment, and to nibbana. The noble truth of suffering, dukkha, monks, is this: birth is suffering, aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, death is suffering, association with the unpleasant is suffering, dissociation from the pleasant is suffering, not to receive what one desires is suffering. In brief, the 5 aggregates subject to grasping are suffering. The noble truth of the origin, cause, of suffering is this: it is this craving, thirst, which produces rebecoming, rebirth, accompanied by passionate greed, and finding fresh delight now here, and now there, namely craving for sense pleasure, craving for existence and craving for non-existence, self-annihilation. The noble truth of the cessation of suffering is this: it is the complete cessation of that very craving, giving it up, relinquishing it, liberating oneself from it, and detaching oneself from it. The noble truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering is this: it is the Noble Eightfold Path, and nothing else, namely, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness and right concentration. This is the noble truth of suffering. Such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This suffering, as a noble truth, should be fully realized. Such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This suffering, as a noble truth, has been fully realized. Such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This is the noble truth of the origin, cause, of suffering. Such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This origin of suffering as a noble truth should be eradicated. Such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This origin of suffering as a noble truth has been eradicated. Such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. Such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This cessation of suffering, as a noble truth, should be realized. Such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This cessation of suffering, as a noble truth has been realized, such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This is the noble truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This path leading to the cessation of suffering, as a noble truth, should be developed, such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. This path leading to the cessation of suffering, as a noble truth has been developed, such was the vision, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, the light that arose in me concerning things not heard before. As long as my knowledge of seeing things as they really are, was not quite clear in these three aspects, in these 12 ways, concerning the Four Noble Truths, I did not claim to have realized the matchless, supreme enlightenment, in this world with its gods, with its Maras and Brahmas, in this generation with its recluses and Brahmanas, with its devas and humans. But when my knowledge of seeing things as they really are was quite clear in these three aspects, in these 12 ways, concerning the Four Noble Truths, then I claimed to have realized the matchless, supreme enlightenment in this world with its gods, with its Maras and Brahmas, in this generation with its recluses and Brahmanas, with its devas and humans. And a vision of insight arose in me thus, unshakable as the deliverance of my heart. This is the last birth. Now there is no more rebecoming, rebirth. This the Blessed One said. The group of 5 monks was glad, and they rejoiced at the words of the Blessed One. When this discourse was thus expounded, there arose in the Venerable Khandana the passion-free, stainless vision of truth, Dhammakaku. In other words, he attained Sotapaddi, the first stage of sanctity, and realized, whatever has the nature of arising, has the nature of ceasing. Now when the Blessed One set in motion the wheel of truth, the Bhumitha Devas, the earth deities, proclaimed, the matchless wheel of truth that cannot be set in motion by recluse, Brahmana, Deva, Mara, Brahma, or anyone in the world, is set in motion by the Blessed One in the deer park at Isapatana near Varanasi. Hearing these words of the earth deities, all the Kaitamaharahaka Devas proclaimed, the matchless wheel of truth that cannot be set in motion by recluse, Brahmana, Deva, Mara, Brahma, or anyone in the world, is set in motion by the Blessed One in the deer park at Isapatana near Varanasi. These words were heard in the upper Deva realms, and from Kaitamaharahaka it was proclaimed in Tavatam Sa, Yama, Tasita, Nimanarati, Paranimata Vasavati, and the Brahmas of Brahma Parasaja, Brahma Purohita, Maha Brahma, Paritabha, Apamanabha, Abasara, Paritta Subha, Apamana Subha, Subhakana, Vihaphala, Aviha, Atapa, Sudasa, Sudasi, and in Akanatha, the matchless wheel of truth that cannot be set in motion by recluse, Brahmana, Deva, Mara, Brahma, or anyone in the world, is set in motion by the Blessed One in the deer park at Isapatana near Varanasi. Thus at that very moment, at that instant, the cry, that the wheel of truth is set in motion, spread as far as Brahma realm, the system of 10,000 worlds trembled and quaked and shook. A boundless sublime radiance surpassing the effulgence, power, of Devas appeared in the world. Then the Blessed One uttered this paean of joy, verily Khandana has realized, verily Khandana has realized, the Four Noble Truths. Thus it was that the Venerable Khandana received the name, Ananandana, Khandana who realizes. With the proclamation of the Dhamma, for the first time, and with the conversion of the 5 ascetics, the deer park at Isapatana became the birthplace of the Buddha's dispensation, Buddhasasana. And the Sangha, the community of monks, the ordained disciples. Emperor Asoka, 281 years after the event, came on pilgrimage to this holy spot and caused a series of monuments and a commemorative pillar with the lion capital to be erected. This capital with its 4 magnificent lions upholding the Dharmakakra, the wheel of Dharma, now stands in the Museum of Sarnath, and is today the official crest of India. The Dharmakakra festival is still maintained in Sri Lanka, Ceylon. Jawaharlal Nehru, the late Prime Minister of India, writes, "At Sarnath near Benares, I would almost see the Buddha preaching his first sermon. And some of his recorded words would come like a distant echo to me through 2,500 years. Asoka's pillars of stone with their inscriptions would speak to me in their magnificent language and tell me of a man who, though an emperor, was greater than any king or emperor." The Discovery of India, The Signet Press, Calcutta, p. 44. Notes. 1. SV 420, Vinaya, Mahavaga, I-10. Number 17. 2. The Perfect One, one attained to truth. The Buddha used it when referring to himself. For details, see the Buddha's Ancient Path, Piyadassi Thera, Buddhist Publication Society, Kandy, Sri Lanka, p. 17, n.4. 3. For a very comprehensive account of the Four Noble Truths, read the Buddha's Ancient Path. Piyadassi Thera, Buddhist Publication Society. Kandy, Sri Lanka, Ceylon. 4. As the previous paragraphs indicate, there are 3 aspects of knowledge with regard to each of the Four Noble Truths. 1. The knowledge that it is the truth, Sakanana. 2. The knowledge that a certain function with regard to this truth should be performed, Kikanana. 3. The knowledge that the function with regard to this truth has been performed, Katanana. The 12 ways or modes are obtained by applying these 3 aspects to each of the Four Noble Truths. ******. 18. The Great Assembly, Mahasamaya Sutta. Thus have I heard. On one occasion the Blessed One was living in the Mahavana, Great Wood, near the city of Kapilavatthu in the province of the Sakyans, together with a great retinue of monks, all of them Arahants, and 500 in number. Devas, gods, from 10,000 world systems frequently assembled for the purpose of seeing the Blessed One and the Bhikkhu Sangha, ordained monks. Then to 4 devas of the Suddhavasa, pure abodes, Brahma world, this thought occurred: the Blessed One is living in the Mahavana near the city of Kapilavatthu in the province of the Sakyans with a great retinue of monks, all of them Arahants, and 500 in number. Devas are frequently assembling there for the purpose of seeing the Blessed One and the Bhikkhu Sangha. It is well if we were also to repair to the place where the Blessed One is, and each of us recite a stanza in his presence. Then those devas, as quickly as a strong man might stretch out his arm, or bend his outstretched arm, vanished from the pure abodes, and appeared before the Blessed One, saluted him, and stood beside him. So standing one of the devas recited this stanza in his presence. 1. There is a great assembly in the forest. A host of devas has assembled. We have come to this Dhamma assembly to see the invincible Sangha. Then another deva recited this stanza in the presence of the Blessed One. 2. The monks in this assembly have collected their thoughts, and made their minds upright. The wise monks guard their senses even as a charioteer holds the reins. Then another deva recited this stanza in the presence of the Blessed One. 3. Having cut off the stake, having dug up the crossbar of lust, hate, and delusion, devoid of desire, they go their way, pure, stainless, with vision clear, and well tamed. These young Arahants move about like elephants. Then another deva recited this stanza in the presence of the Blessed One. 4. They who go for refuge to the Buddha shall not go to evil state of existence, but will quit the human body and fill the ranks of the devas. The Blessed One then addressed the monks. Often, monks, devas from the 10 world systems foregather to see the Tathagata, the Buddha, and the monks, the community of bhikkhus. Devas have assembled before the consummate, Arahanto, supreme Buddhas of the past. Devas will appear before the consummate, supreme Buddhas of the future as they do assemble now before me. I will tell you, monks, the names of the host of devas. I will reveal the names of the host of devas. Listen, pay attention. I will speak Yes. Venerable Sir, said the monks by way of assent. The Blessed One said this. 5 to 6 in measured speech I will give utterance. The terrestrial devas remain in their realm. Those bent on meditation frequent rocky clefts. Well composed they, arahants, live like solitary lions overcoming the fear that causes hair to stand on end, with immaculate minds, pure, serene, and undefiled. 7 Knowing that there were in the forest, near the city of Kapilavatthu, 500 and more disciples, delighted in the word of the Buddha, the Master thereupon addressed them. 8 Monks, hosts of devas have assembled. Do know them well. And they, the monks, hearing the word, sasanam, of the Buddha, strove ardently, to see and know them. 9 There arose in them knowledge of perceiving the non-humans. Some saw 100, some 1,000 non-humans, devas and brahmas, and others 70,000 non-humans. 10 Some saw 100,000 non-humans, others saw countless numbers, every quarter being filled with them. 11 Thereupon the Seeing One, the Buddha, knowing all things through super-knowledge, addressed the disciples delighted in the word of the Buddha. 12 Monks, host of devas have assembled. I will announce them to you in words, and in due order. Know ye them. 13 7,000 terrestrial yakas of Kapilavatthu possessed of iti, supernormal, power, radiant, comely, and followed by a retinue of attendants, have come rejoicing to the forest to see the assembly of arahant monks. 14 6,000 yakas from the Himalayan mountain, diverse in hue, possessed of iti power, radiant, comely, and followed by a retinue of attendants, have come rejoicing to this forest to see the assembly of monks. 15 3,000 yakas from the Satta's mountain, Sattagiri, diverse in hue, possessed of iti power, radiant, comely, and followed by a retinue of attendants, have come rejoicing to the forest to see the assembly of monks. 16 Thus 16,000 yakas, diverse in hue, possessed of iti power, radiant, comely, and followed by a retinue of attendants, have come rejoicing to the forest to see the assembly of monks. 17 500 yakas from the Vesamita mountain, diverse in hue, possessed of iti power, radiant, comely, and followed by a retinue of attendants, have come rejoicing to the forest to see the assembly of monks. 18 Kumhira of Rajagala town, having his dwelling on Vipula's mountain, with more than 100,000 yakas in his train, has come to the forest to see the assembly of monks. 19 to 20 Tahattaritha, king of the east, advisor to the eastern clime, and chief of the Gandhabas, followed by a retinue of attendants, and with his many mighty sons, Devaputas, Inda their names, possessed of iti power, radiant, comely, and with a retinue, has come rejoicing to the forest to see the assembly of monks. 21 to 22 Viralha, king of the south, advisor to the southern clime, and chief of the Kumhandas, followed by a retinue of attendants, and with his many mighty sons, Inda their names, possessed of iti power, radiant, comely, and with a retinue of attendants, has come rejoicing to the forest to see the assembly of monks. 23 to 24 Virapakha, king of the west, advisor to the western clime, and chief of the Nagas, followed by a retinue of attendants, and with his many mighty sons, Inda their names, possessed of iti power, radiant, comely, and with a retinue of attendants, has come rejoicing to the forest to see the assembly of monks. 25 to 26 Kuvera, king of the north, advisor to the northern clime, and chief of the Yakhas, followed by a retinue of attendants, and with his many mighty sons, Inda their names, possessed of iti power, radiant, comely, and with a retinue of attendants, has come rejoicing to the forest to see the assembly of monks. 27 to 28 Tahattaritha over the east, to the south Viralhaka, westward Virapakha, Kuvera over the north. These four great kings stood illuminating the four quarters of the forest in the vicinity of Kapilavatthu. 29 With them came their crafty, deceitful, cunning slaves, enticing Kutendu, Vetendu, Vituka, and Vitida. 30 And, also the slaves, Kandana, Kamasetha, Kinyugandu, and Nyandu. There also came Panada and Opamana and Madali charioteer of the Devas. 31 Siddha and Sena, the Gandhabas, Nala, Kara, Jainsava, Janavasabha, Pankasika, the Devas, Timbaru, the Gandhaba, and Suryavakasa, the daughter of Timbaru, also came. 32 Along with these, Gandhaba, kings, other Gandhaba kings too, have come rejoicing with each other to the forest to see the assembly of monks. 33 Then came they, divine, Nagas of the Lake Nabeza, those of the Naga realm visibly together with the Nagas named Tacc Haka. Also came Nagas of Kambala and Asatara and Payaga accompanied by their relatives. 34 Nagas from Yamuna,